everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia. What's happening?
And I'm Sam Healey. He's wearing purple shirts.
And we are the Friends of Gaming. I think,
Yay.
right?
Yeah. I don't know about that. I'm certain guilty of at least one of these.
All right, well, today we're talking about the enemies of gaming. Now, this is a somewhat tongue-in-cheek list. I guess most of our lists are to some degree.
I don't know about that.
But these are things that are enemies of gaming. Do you like to game? Do you like to have fun playing board games and card games? What can stop you? Now, I'm assuming that this will not be extremely personal, that you haven't put, like, Tom Vasel on your list, or...
Dude, there's like 2 game pieces in the crevice down here.
Okay, well, anyhow.
I surely did not put your name on this list, sir.
Did you put people's names on the list?
I didn't either.
Actions, though, such as throat punching.
Ooh, throat punching is an enemy of gaming.
That's okay.
Okay, well, anyhow, there's all sorts of things that are on our list. We'll see if we have any crossover at all. I think there'll be one thing that will be on everyone's list.
Okay.
And I think there will be a couple things that I think we'll see some crossover.
We'll see more.
But not too much.
I think that we'll see more than one crossover. I'm actually expecting
A lot?
like 3 at least.
Well, we'll definitely see some where you say, well, that's kind of close to what I meant type thing. All right, are you ready, public enemies? We're calling you out now. All right, here we go.
Number 10.
All right, my number 10 is a not a problem, I guess, but it's something that everybody deals with. My number 10 enemy of gaming is physical needs. And what I mean by physical needs are sleeping, eating, taking a shower, all of those kinds of things. They're enemies of gaming. Now, I know some people.
I would like to say that they're friends of gaming, actually.
Well,
At least one of those.
yeah, you would hope so. But there are some people who just think that they are absolute total gaming machines, and they can go for 72 hours plus without doing anything other than gaming. And some people want to be that way.
Okay, now you sound very specific, but all right.
But you should not do this. And that's why these things are the enemies of gaming, because you might find yourself in that group of people that want to game continuously. If you could game intravenously while you were sleeping, you would do it. And to you,
Like that.
sleeping, eating, taking a shower, those are enemies of gaming. So that's my number 10, physical needs.
I like to argue that that's okay. Friends of gaming, but all right.
Physical needs. Wow.
All right, my number 10 now listen, before I get called out on this one.
Breathing. How dare you breathe?
My number 10 is an unintentional enemy of gaming, although you could argue that it is completely my fault and my wife's fault. But I would say little children are enemies of gaming. Now look, I love my kids, and I love them dearly, but there's that age between 9 months and 2 years where they wish to destroy all games. Is it between 5 years?
5 years.
They destroy games. They think it's fun to play, make pieces disappear, sit on your lap, and be like, oh!
Yes.
Good stuff.
I love kids, but that's why
I love gaming more. I believe that is what Tom Vasel was saying, folks.
That's
No.
what he was thinking.
Printed on a bumper sticker, let me get one.
look. There's a reason it's number 10 because I don't think it's it is what it is. But I just think about that often as my son comes in the room here and proceeds to just hurl games off the shelf.
Yep.
And so he is an enemy of gaming. So if you want to be specific, Jim Vasel. But little children, my number 10.
All right, my number 10 enemy of gaming is nothing as personal as what these guys are saying. That's horrific.
Oh.
I'll get to those.
We're not worthy.
To those. My number 10 is bad game covers.
Ah, yes.
Look, when you make a game and you want people to play it, they need to go past the cover. Like the cover needs to be the first thing we see unless I bring the game out on like a platter and they never see the box. Which, believe me, with some of the games out there, I want to, because boy, some covers are just, like Sam says, bleh, I mean, horrific stuff. One look at that cover and you go, I'd rather go over there and knit a book.
Knit a book. book.
And then read it?
and then read it. Is that, I don't know how you...
That's some pretty fine knitting.
yeah, baby. So, bad game covers, gotta go.
All right.
Number 9.
Okay, my number 9 is similar to Z's, except I'm even more general, and I'm just going to say bad games. And I'm going to be specific here. We're talking like games like Monopoly and games that are just not good games that are sold everywhere. And when I say, hey, would you like to play a board game? And they say, no.
Did he just go there?
Yeah.
He just went there.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I say, would you like to play a board game?
Typically don't ask people like that, but...
But
I
people...
don't. That's for sure.
But when I ask someone to play a board game, their first thoughts are trash game this, I don't like this, I don't like that. And because they had a bad experience with all these other bad games, therefore they don't want to play good ones. So bad games are an enemy of gaming.
So what about, I think it almost sounds like what you're saying is not necessarily bad games, but public perception of games. The fact that bad games are so prevalent.
That is actually not what I'm saying, to be clear, for reasons that we'll find out otherwise. But I think...
Okay.
I had a similar one that I knocked off
One-
that was like that. I called it misunderstandings.
Okay, okay.
But when people play a game that they really don't like, and it could even be just like when someone comes to a gaming thing and they play a bad game for the first time, that
Yeah,
can turn
sure.
them off.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant. All right.
Okay, cool. My number 9 is bad...
Coliseum.
What?
Nothing.
My number 9 is bad rules editing or a lack of clarity in your game. This is right. A follow up to that bad game cover. Let's say your game has a great cover. It's a beautiful cover, and then I open it up and I attempt to learn and teach the game, and I might as well shoot myself in the foot because I can't do it. Your game's probably A, from Kickstarter, but B, you need to do a better job getting people who don't know you, are not friends with you, wouldn't sit there and be taught by you to be able to figure out that game that you want to sell and want to do well. So, my number 9, even worse than bad game covers, lack of rules clarity in your rule book. I need to learn from it, do a better job with that. My number 9.
All right.
My number 9 is also along the physical scale, but it is not personal physical. It is more weather type physical, and that is humidity.
That's true.
Humidity is the enemy of games.
That's really good.
Good one.
I can't. Well, it hasn't happened a lot because we do have this thing called air conditioning that usually mitigates humidity rather well. But there have been times where we have pulled out like a modular board game system and it looks like a 3D map because it's so pink. All the edges are pointing up. And oh, look at those mountains, you know, that kind of stuff. Humidity wrecks cardboard games. So that's my number 9, humidity.
That is a good one. And we're fortunate that we have air conditioning here, but yeah, you're right. We've opened up games before.
Yeah.
When I lived in Korea and I couldn't afford air conditioning there.
Right.
I had to have those little, they pull the water out of the air, those dehumidifiers.
Yeah.
I had them all over my gaming room.
Yes.
And I'd empty them out every once in a while and it'd be like tons of water. I'm like, what's getting into my games?
Yeah, yeah.
So, nope. Let's go on.
Number 8.
Okay, my number 8 is a bit of a weird one.
Bad game components.
No, I'm moving on to people here. Here we go. My number 8 is
Jason Levine.
uncaring participants. What I mean by this is,
Jason Levine.
no, Jason really
just
cares.
keep
He totally
talking.
cares, right? I'm talking about people who don't care about the game experience and just want to have fun at the expense of the spirit of the game.
Yeah, their own version of fun.
Right, and I have an example of this, which obviously I'll try to glean some details, but I was playing a game that was a deduction game, and I was playing with someone who just wanted to do things that were clearly not helping them deduce what's going on, but they thought it was funny. They were doing things like, when you looked at that, I messed you up, didn't I? Gotcha. That. It's like, no, it's a deduction game. You are actively hurting the game.
Did you laugh?
Experience. No. Because you want to have fun and be funny. Unwilling, uninterested participants will kill a game like nothing else. So my number 8, uncaring participants.
Okay. My number 8. Finding a good location to play is the enemy of gaming, because you sometimes walk into...
You mean like a lack of a good location?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not being able to find a good location to play.
That's a good one.
To be honest with you, some people... Houses aren't always the best place, because quite frankly, houses aren't made to be gamed in.
Or number 10, little children.
Yeah, it coincides. And on the same coin, maybe the other side of it, I don't know, maybe even the same side, some game stores aren't really conducive.
I would actually
To good gaming.
up that to many game stores.
Okay.
Right,
Many game stores.
they're, yeah.
So sometimes it can be really hard to find a good place to play a good game, especially if the game is anywhere close to an epic style game that takes a lot of table space. Some people's kitchen tables can't fit some of these things. You have to buy an extra table just to fit the game on there. So locations to play can really be a difficult enemy to bear when you want a game. So that's my number 8.
That's a good
I
one.
bet you in the comments a lot of people will agree with you on that.
Yeah, I
because
gotta agree, man. That's a great choice.
we had a hard time even in our group for a while looking for a place to game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, my number 8 is one word: hype. I think hype is an enemy of gaming.
Oh, that's good.
Because today we live in a land of hype. And again, as with Z, a lot of this is coming from Kickstarter. And it's like, hey, great game coming out, get it. And then the people who do get it, who click on $100 because they wanted the game, plus all the extras, then those people go, it's great, and I can get a higher stretch goal if you back it. Come on. And it just
What are you gonna tell me what the game
multiplies.
is? Here's the person that's going to make the game.
Really, I mean, the hype is right. We've always seen hype in gaming.
Yeah.
And we've been guilty of promoting hype. Well, at least me, I've especially on our show. But it's at such a fervor right now. I can't get on Twitter really without hearing about some great game that's coming out in the future. And because of all this hype, I really think it's an enemy of gaming for one thing, because people aren't satisfied with what they have now.
Or just an expansion. I hear about more expansions than I do regular games, I think.
Well, I'm telling you, with the Kickstarter,
I think the issue is exactly what you're saying. Kickstarter has elongated the time from you hearing about something to the time you really knowing anything about it first, and B, playing it. And so that cycle has grown.
Yep.
And there's more time to get that snowball rolling. And so by the time it does come out, unless it's the best thing ever, you might be disappointed.
Right, but I also think people are unhappy with what they have now. They're sitting around saying, oh yeah, well this is good, but I really wish I could play this. And there's so much talking about games that are coming that people don't talk about games now. And this hype is affecting reviewers, it's affecting podcasts, it's affecting, everyone's like, what's coming out? I call it the cult of the future, and I think it's an enemy of gaming, because we should look at, there's people who yell at us for being the cult of the new, because we're talking about games that just came out. But I don't think that's even the problem anymore.
Right, cult of the unreleased.
We're talking about the cult of the unreleased. Oh, this is great.
Who's us?
Well, okay, that's...
Hey, who was playing the old games the other night? You weren't there. I played
That's right.
gaming. I was rocking.
He was doing
the
Cult of the Old last night,
Oh, that's
Mesopotamia and stuff.
That's how I do it.
All right. Anyway, hype is an enemy of gaming.
Number 7.
Okay, my number 7 is unwanted distractions. And by that I mean what basically Tom was saying.
Small children.
Children needing attention, annoying pets jumping on things or needing attention.
That pet wouldn't be around very much longer.
Cats are an enemy of gaming.
Cats jumping on a table.
My
something
dog
like that.
don't jump on the table. And if he did, the table would probably
Puts
break.
TI3 on the dog.
That's your new house.
So, unwanted distractions such as children, pets, whatever. That is my number 7.
All right. Z already stole the thunder on my number 7 because you said it was my number 9, but it is public perception. Now, this one's slightly different, though. For me, it's not just that people play bad games. It's just that I'll tell people about gaming, and they're like, oh, board games, because you're bored of playing them. Nerd. Well, the nerd thing doesn't come across as much anymore because there's a lot of nerds
I
out there.
correct him. I say, no, ma'am, I'm a geek. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, fine.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, the people
with a handbag.
people have this thing like, oh, board games is what you do when there's absolutely nothing else to do.
When you can't go outside and the
when you're
power's off.
snowed in and
there's
you're like
nothing,
candles.
yeah.
Oh, that's when you play board games. And they have
Right.
this perception that board games is boring.
And also, it's, board games is for kids. That's one of those perceptions. And that they're all bad because, well, what
I
they
ran into that just not a week ago. One of my coworkers, somebody made a comment about somebody being an adolescent, and I laughed along with it. And then she said, "Coming from the person who plays board games all the time," I'm like,
That would be a moment where I would really want to grab. That would be where you want to grab their phone and see what apps they have on it.
maybe.
Because it's like, Candy Crush. Who's the adolescent now? I mean, but I think some of that.
There's a lot of people playing Candy Crush. I'd be careful about it.
No. I'm not saying that it's wrong to play Candy Crush. I'm saying
not one of them.
I'm saying that people who will like poo-poo on board games will will do applications.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. That's true. They'll play like iOS games, but see board gaming as a kid's endeavor,
Right.
And that's simply from a lack of understanding, which you sort of have to forgive.
They make a difference between video games and board games.
Yeah.
All right, so public perception. What about you, Sam?
My number 7, and again, this is more of a physical type thing. But
About
that
the
is
physical stuff with Sam.
He said humidity. Now it's going to be snowstorms.
No.
Now, those are
Space. And what I mean by space is specifically storage
These are the voyages of the
space.
Oh.
If you're going to be into gaming, you're going to probably buy a good number of games. And now the time comes to where you have to think about where you're going to keep those games. Before I started buying board games, I had very few bookcases in my house and hardly any shelves. Now I probably have
There's hardly any house.
more shelves and more types of that kind of furniture, stuff that I can put things into, than I have other kinds of furniture. And it's just one of those things where you have to seriously design your house or design your room around storage of your hobby.
Right.
And that can be very difficult.
That's true. As opposed to like music, TV, computer games, all that stuff's really small nowadays.
Well, especially things that I move on to electronic storage.
Yeah.
Like music. Keeping a music collection. Unless you are
it's not visible.
Unless you want like a vinyls, right? And you want to keep it really. I mean, you can have as many songs as you want to now, and the space is
But even
zero.
still, if you walk into somebody's living room and they have vinyl records being displayed, you're like, oh, cool, you're a music connoisseur.
Right.
You walk into somebody's house that has 4 stacks of board games, you're like, I think I left a baby on fire out on the sidewalk.
Geek man.
You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And you want to leave because you're like, what kind of cuckoo guy is this? And it goes back with that perception of gamers and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be inventive about how you store your games. And so my number 7 is space.
Just get all those games from Yellow that look like books.
Yeah.
Oh, you read, but what is this?
Number 6.
All right, now I'm going to be doing some crossover with another upcoming list that we'll be doing live at Dice Tower Convention. But this is a person, and I have 2 that I'm lumping together here, and that is the sore winner, or the poor winner, I guess. The poor winner and the sore loser are enemies of gaming because I've seen them chase so many people away from gaming. Someone says, hey, you want to play a board game? You're like, oh, okay, I'll try it. And they're like, you lost. And you're like, oh, that was fun. Well, I mean, you obviously clearly made a mistake here. And then you're like, oh, well, thank you. We're not going to do this again. Then there's the person who teaches you to play the game. You beat them, and then they get angry, and they stop talking to you. And, and some spouses are like this. They're like, my spouse never wants to play games with me. Yeah, because they know what happens if they beat you. Then you're cranky for the rest of the night. And
that's...
No, I really think this. If you play a game
I agree,
with someone who's a big sore loser, makes a big fuss about it, that will actually put you off of gaming. You'll be like, I don't know, this isn't worth it. So poor winners and sore losers.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We're on 6s, right?
Yeah.
All right, my 6 is greasy or powdery foods.
Grease is the word.
Greasy or powdery foods. And I get this probably
So Kentucky
more
Fried Cheetos
often-
are out.
Kentucky Fried Cheetos. Wow.
Oh, what?
Goodness.
You would eat them.
Breaded or unbreaded?
You would try those if I had
I
them.
would try them, yeah.
Oh.
But I play a lot of games with high schoolers, and they do not think about what's on their fingers before they touch your game.
Right.
They do not. It's almost like, they'll be eating potato chips or drinking, and their hands are wet and nasty and greasy, and they're reaching for the cards, and I'm just like,
It's a slow motion, like anime thing.
exactly,
Sam's hands.
exactly. That's how
They're coming both towards the card.
That's how
The
I
lines,
feel
the
sometimes.
speed lines. Ah!
Because they just don't understand that what's on my fingers is going to stay on those cards or stay on the board until somebody cleans it off. And it's almost like, are you wearing glasses? Let me take your glasses. I'm going to touch your... and see how that looks. Oh, yeah, this is so much better now. This goes on my game every time you touch your fingers, your greasy, powdery fingers all over my game. I'm not going to treat you like this when we're actually playing the game. But I'm going to want to. So, greasy, powdery foods
You can't make anyone who watches afraid to play with you.
are the enemies of gaming.
All right. What about you, sir?
Okay.
Clean my glasses.
My number, clean yourself.
Thank you.
My number 7 was unwanted distractions. My number 6 is wanted distractions. And by that, I mean people who insist that the television be on while we're playing a game. Who insist on turning on music, especially with words, while I'm playing a game. Those things are really distracting.
I don't know. He didn't like that. Oh, no.
Well, you do it a little bit, but your music's typically
Soundtracks.
Thematic.
And he tries. And again, this might be more pet peevey than the other choices on the list here, but having a TV going while I'm trying to concentrate, play a game, engaging what we're doing here is an enemy of gaming for me. I find it really distracting. It's bothersome. It's not that you're looking at it. It's that I'm gonna be distracted by it too and looking at the TV or listening to what's happening, to a song, whatever. So for me, purposeful distractions, people who set up distractions on purpose, I think are that's really bothersome to me. So, TV, music, what have you, that's my number 6.
All right.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 actually goes along with your number 6, Z, and that is short attention spans.
What?
What?
Yeah? Huh? What?
I heard. Now I'm not sure exactly how accurate this is, but I heard that humans right now have a shorter attention span than goldfish. On average. I don't know if that's absolutely accurate.
Hurry up, Sam. This is just 1 hour. Let's go forward.
Yeah, I was just saying, anybody who's irritated,
Right.
anybody who's irritated by our log videos has already stopped watching. So we could
We're good.
short attention spans are the ruination of America.
But
Crazy. I mean, shorter than goldfish.
I've heard that. I don't know. I haven't done the
How do they even
research.
test that?
I know.
How do you staring at a goldfish?
I know,
Whoever
right?
looks away
And then
first. I mean,
I'm sick of this. But really, if you think about it, short attention spans, people don't want to sit down because I'd rather watch something else that takes half an hour. Or I'd rather play this game that's over in 5 minutes on my phone.
yeah. Or even, take a look at any movie from today and any movie from 50 years ago and count the cuts.
Yeah,
It's like, boom, 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 boom. I mean, everything has to be like,
exactly.
entertain me, more colors, more
It's like
noise,
overload. It's like
Yeah.
overload. And when you have something where you're just trying to focus on one or two or a few things in a game, people aren't necessarily interested in that. It's hard for them to focus sometimes, not all the time. So that's why I think theme is very important. I think fun mechanics and engaging mechanics are important in games so that it livens up that need to focus with things that they can attach to. But short attention spans, I think, really are a enemy of gaming because people just don't have the attention span anymore to sit down for 2 hours and play a game. They'll sit there and watch a movie for 2 hours, but they won't sit there and engage their minds in a game for 2 hours.
Right.
Short attention spans. My number 5.
All right. Well, my number 5 actually, Sam, in a roundabout sort of way, does tie into your number 5. And I'm going to get some hate for this one. My number 5 is unnecessarily long games. Now, before you kill me,
He means over 30 minutes.
I said the word unnecessarily. Not long games,
TI3 has to be long. You're correct.
okay? And I've not played it. You might very well be 100% right. I'm saying unnecessarily long games. Games like Monopoly. A game that has enough depth, enough game for 45 minutes, but it's 4 hours. Okay? Or any other game that is too long for what it offers. I think that is detrimental to gaming as a whole because that time is precious. And what your game's giving me back is not worth me sitting there for 3 hours. It should have been a 90-minute game.
Yeah. In the speech world, they tell you if you don't have your audience in the first 5 minutes,
You don't have them.
you don't have them. You've
Right.
lost them. You're not
Right.
going to have them for the rest of the time.
So,
Yeah, we've already lost everyone, but all right, continue.
So my number 5, unnecessarily long games, I think are an enemy of gaming because they let us play fewer games and take up that precious time that we can dedicate to gaming.
He has a short attention span.
My number 5.
All right, my number 5 is a crossover with one that Z said earlier, but it irks me more than it irks him because I deal with it more, and that is bad rules.
Oh.
Oh, I cannot. It seems like every other new game that we play these days, we have some problem with the rules. I just played a game yesterday where how to set the game up was partially explained on the last page. Why? There are games where I played another game where they said this card is very important. I was like, oh, okay. And then didn't tell you throughout the rules what that card did. There's other games,
You
where
got punked on that one.
but there's games where it's just really difficult. Now I know that there's rule books that are written well, and there's some rule books that aren't written as well, right? There's some rule books you're like, that could have been written better. But we are actually in an era where there's a lot of rule books which it's almost impossible to figure the game out. You have to go online, you have to read facts, you have to watch videos, and this is something that I know is hard. I know it's hard to write rules. So get someone else to do it. Hand it to someone and say, do you understand these rules as written? Do you know what's going on here?
Right.
Because I'm telling you, someone gets a game, they don't have someone to teach them the game, they read these rules, they can't figure out, they quit. And they will. And it happens all the time.
Right.
I mean, you can ask Z how many times he's heard me yell while reading rules because I'm so frustrated with how dumbly they're written. And I cannot figure out them, but I bulldoze through it.
Right.
Because that's our job, we're reviewing games.
Right.
But if it wasn't, forget it. I would give up on it. I would. So I think bad rules are a terrible enemy to gaming.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4. And this is a necessary evil. I understand that. I got
Is it physical? That's the question.
No, it's not.
Spiritual. Mental.
No. Well,
Just do it.
maybe. Anyway. Just get it over with. Responsibilities.
Oh, you mean the one that's actually... That makes sense.
I mean, jobs or things that you must do that take away from time that you would rather spend gaming.
So you're saying this is like unnecessary enemy?
It's a necessary
Okay,
enemy,
it's
but
not
it's
one
an
that we should try to
enemy
get rid of.
nonetheless. You have to have... unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you have a bank account set up for you that will last you for the rest of your life, and you don't have to work, you don't have to do anything, you have to have a job. You have to do this. You have to do that in order to get the bills paid, in order to live. And that's
so scary. Let's go back to gaming. I want to.
This is the enemy of gaming because time that you would rather spend gaming, you have to spend doing something else. And
Well, there are some people who don't, though.
And I understand that. But this is a necessary evil. I chose to include it. My number 4, responsibilities.
All right, my number 4 is another crossover with the upcoming list. It's 2 letters. AP, or more specifically, analysis paralysis. And I'll tell you what, nothing can crush someone's spirit than someone who takes forever. Someone who might take forever choosing between, hey, you go to this space, you get $10,000 and 2 extra turns. You go to this space, you lose $1 million and the game. And they'll sit there and go, I mean, so I point it out. Usually it's not that obvious, but there's sometimes where it's like, come on, you have 2 options. Do you want red or green? Pick one! And they will sit there. And the biggest problem I have with analysis paralysis is every time we mention this, there's always people who say, oh, well, you know, these people need more time to think, and you're being rude for making them go faster and such. But every time I've met someone with AP, they simply don't care about what everyone else thinks. They don't. You'll say, hey, people will be sitting here going, come on. They're like, hang on.
Or they're min-maxing, and they're trying to figure out.
Right, and then they want to win by 6,000 points. And they're just, maybe this is just a personal one for me, but this one is an enemy of gaming to the point where if I know that you're somebody who takes a really, really long time, I will deliberately avoid gaming with you much. Or pick very specific games to play with you where I think you can't AP, and then find out you can anyway! Sorry.
That's hilarious. To just me, I think, right now. Okay, my number 4, yes, is something that has been said, I believe, just by Sam, but I imagine it's coming up. Greasy, sticky food.
Oh, yeah, it's sticky though. Usually greasy and what was yours? Powdery.
Yeah,
now you got greasy and
stuff.
sticky.
Nasty food that covers your fingers and therefore covers game pieces and cards and such. Wash your hands. Don't eat that stuff at the table. I mean, the stuff falls from the tree with how obvious it is, but you know, avoid it. Number 4.
Number 3.
Well, okay.
Top 3, baby.
Now, here we go. Here's our first 3-way crossover, and it is greasy food.
Yeah!
And I also added and open containers.
What?
I know what you're thinking. Some of you are like, Vasel, we see what you do.
Yes.
Okay. Now, actually, though, I've gotten
What Zee's doing right now.
I've gotten less picky about food over the years because I've gotten less worried about my games. Okay, but that's just me.
This is true.
And there's a lot of people worried about it. Grease, though, is a really bad one because the thing about grease is people don't notice it right away.
Right. And it's so...
Right. It's on it's not like when you're eating salsa, people are like, oh, I got to be careful. I'm eating salsa over here. I'm eating dip over here. They're very careful at the end of the board. But they get grease. They don't think about it because they touch the cards. And then later on, you're like, wait a minute. There's like shiny spots all over the board.
Or like these 2 cards are stuck together, you know, because that grease solidified and stuck them together.
Yeah. So that... Whether you like it or not, it definitely is an enemy of gaming. I think it's best to try to plan snacks around that. Pretzels are a friend of gaming. Except for like the big salt pieces get mixed in with the cubes.
It's a good top 10 list. Top 10 friends of gaming foods.
Well, I can already tell you pretzels, carrot sticks, you know, celery.
Stealing thunder?
Okay, anyway. But yeah, but open containers are also like, they're just sitting there and they're just waiting. They're like a mousetrap.
Especially when there's a lot of reaching across. And every time someone reaches across, you're like, oh, here it comes. No, not this time. Next time when they reach across, I know it's going to wash everything, you know.
And you can be careful, and still, you're very careful, and then just someone will be like, what? And then the thing falls.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I've seen it happen. Have you?
Yes.
It's like VE Day. Okay, I don't know.
All right. My number 3 is no gaming group. Not having a gaming group is obviously a very huge enemy of gaming, and it happened to me when I was...
He originally wrote no friends, but thought that sounded mean.
No, I mean, having friends and...
I know, I'm just kidding.
Those are definitely different. You might have tons of friends and they're not into gaming and
right.
You don't have a gaming group, you know? And you might try and they're like, no, you're great, but we don't want to play games, so you got no gaming group. And I know a lot of people it happens to. I know for a fact a lot of people who go to conventions because they don't have a good gaming group or a gaming group at all. And they fall into that trap Sam was talking about, which is I must game for 5 days to get it out of your system. And I get it, you know, I'm sympathetic to it. But it's rough not having a game group and you sort of have to deal with that, you know. But nowadays you have a lot of other opportunities. You can game online, you know, you can do iOS gaming and that sort of thing. But not having a game group, that's rough. So that's my number 3.
All right, my number 3 is has kind of been alluded to in a smattering of different lists, but it is in a more generalistic way, time. Z, I think, was the one that mentioned that time is precious, and there is
If I could put time in a bottle.
only a certain number of minutes within every day,
How many is
and
10,000? Oh, I don't know what that.
and there are only certain, and those hours, those minutes are having to be used by some of those other responsibilities that we have to do. So there's a very
1440.
sequestered amount of time that you have that's possible time for gaming.
Right.
And that's an enemy, because you have to schedule times, and sometimes things come up and that messes up your schedule, and so now you have to try to move that to some and try to shoehorn it in sometimes, and you have to actually be very deliberate sometimes on picking time to game. If it's something you enjoy, you have to make time to do it.
Right.
And that's an enemy of gaming, in my opinion. So time, number 3.
Number 2.
Okay, my number 2 is alpha gamers, but more specifically than alpha gamers, because alpha gaming typically only correlates it to cooperative games, it seems. I'm talking about gamer bullies. And what I mean by that is people who either play the game for you or teach you the game by playing for you. And I have one very specific instance in my head where I showed up to, this is many years ago, so I don't think that person's going to be listening.
It's no one you know.
But basically, I showed up to a game group, to a gaming night, and I sat down to play a game I had never played before, and I was taught the game by basically having the person who was, it seemed, running the game, whose game it was, I imagine, take turns for me. Like, they would basically go, oh, you'll get it as we go. And then when it was my turn, I go, okay, so what can I do? They go, you want to do this. Okay, go. Like, literally move my pieces and take my turns for me.
Without any explanation.
Without, right.
Wow.
And it's like, no, here's what you want to do. I'm like, okay, but what else can I do? Well, you could do this also, but you don't want to do, this is what you want to do. There you go. Okay, next. Literally like that. I mean, I'm not exaggerating much, and that's horrific. Do not be a gamer bully. Okay? Don't play other people's games for them. Everybody's there to have fun like you are. Everybody wants to be engaged in a game. If I don't get to move my own pieces and sort of play my own game and at least make my own decisions, then why am I here? Just I'll sit here and read a book. Just play for me. Don't be a gamer bully. That's my number 2. I think it's a big deal, and I've seen it happen enough for it to be a problem.
All right.
My number 2 is TV shows. And when I say TV shows, I mean those TV shows that you follow semi-religiously from week to week. It's more of a personal thing for me, and I'm sure there are other people out there that this happens to. Well, at least I hope. I'm okay with it if there isn't. But I have, my wife has told me during...
Samuel!
No.
Get off the television!
No. The exact opposite, actually.
Samuel, get on the television! I don't know. You said the exact opposite.
Then shut up. If you don't know, then shut up.
Just say it.
I'm trying! We've come home from work, and my wife said, let's play a game tonight. I'm like, okay. And my mind starts going, what game do I want to play? What game do I want to play with the kids? Do I want to just play a 2-player game with my wife? And then the kids go, hey, there's a new Arrow. Or, hey, there's a new Flash. Or there's a new Grimm. There's whatever it is. And then everybody wants to watch that. Oh, we'll play a game afterwards. And it doesn't happen because a little bit of laziness creeps in. You're already tired,
right?
And so I'm trying to hype myself up. Okay, what game do I have the energy for? What game do I have the energy to teach right now? Because they may not have played it before. And we sit in the the Barca Lounger or whatever it is, and watch that TV show, and laziness.
Everybody sort of like
sets in.
relaxes, and
Everybody
that's it.
relaxes, and it's like, yeah, we'll play a game tomorrow night. And that's an enemy of gaming, because that was a definite opportunity for some good family time gaming, and it just fell by the wayside. So that's an enemy of gaming, TV shows.
TiVo
Alright.
is a friend of gaming, Sam.
Okay.
Okay, now this may sound like a get off my lawn type thing.
Do it in an old man voice.
No, I'm not.
Come on.
And I may not get any support from my co-host here, but I really firmly believe this, that the number 2 enemy of gaming is the smartphone. It is incredibly disruptive at the table. From watching your fantasy sports team scores, that's a specific one, from texting, from checking things online, from reading forums, from all sorts of things. It's an incredible distraction. Yeah, there's also the picture thing. Well, the picture thing's not so much a problem. Now that's ironic. You gonna put that on the Instagram there?
Yes.
Okay.
Tweeting this right now, Bubba.
But I really have found that it's disruptive, and I've taught rules to people who are busy on their phone and then didn't hear the rules. If people, it's their turn and they're not paying attention. Smartphones are a great thing. Okay, I have one. I use it often. It keeps me sane at the doctor's office. It helps me remember what my wife wanted at the store. I can look at products when I'm at the store. I mean, there's hundreds of good uses, but there's very few good uses during a board game. Very few. Looking up a rules correction, yes.
Beeping watch, that's an enemy of gaming.
That's an enemy of gaming, yes. Well, that will change shortly. But anyhow, my number 2 enemy of gaming, smartphones.
Tweet.
Oh, so you guys had nothing to say there? All right, fine.
We're tweeting, man.
All right, to the number 1s.
And finally, number 1.
All right, here we go. The 20-sided die of wonder.
The die of doom. I got an 8. Some got a 1. Hey, and a 1 and an 8 makes 18.
Yeah. Yeah, though I have to not do mine at all now. That's when you get a 1, there's a punishment.
No, you have to open your bottle and spill it.
Whoa. There's no need to
That's
make
an
anybody
epic
out there.
failure, man.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
All right, what's the order here? What's the order here for number 1?
I would like the last say, so we'll go down the line.
You got it.
Z.
All right, do it.
Okay, my number 1 enemy of gaming is body odor.
Are you serious? That's your number 1?
It really is. I've dealt with it enough. I'm done dealing with it. Just splash something on yourself that is not chicken grease.
Please.
Please. Anything. Because
Please.
I'm sitting right there next to you, and it's
dude, he's being so
for
specific.
an hour and a half, I gotta be doing the lean out, right? That's a famous move. Or the bump out the chair thing, anything to create some distance. It's one of those things that
I can't believe that's your number 1.
I've dealt with it enough lately, actually, too, that it's I'm done. I'm done, man. It's and you don't want to say something. That's super rude.
No, he just says it publicly here.
I did, because I'm not singling anybody out. But I swear, Steve, dude, take a shower.
Dude.
I don't
You
know
haven't
any.
played with anybody named Steve lately,
No,
have you?
I don't know any Steve. Joke. Anyway, body odor, yeah, that's my number 1.
All right, my number 1 is very similar to Z's number 2. It's the Uber nerd. Not the geek, the Uber nerd. The comic book guy from Simpsons. Okay? The guy who, when you say, hey, I'm thinking about getting this game, he's like, no.
Don't buy that.
That's garbage. That's garbage. Now, to be fair, I have fallen in this trap myself over the years at certain points, okay? It's very easy to do.
Right?
Not the reviews. I'm just saying, when you're talking to people, right? The review is different, but if someone's like, oh, look, we're having fun playing Flux, and you're like, yeah,
It's almost
Flux.
like denying that other people are having fun. That's what it is.
But it's not just that.
It's okay telling someone that's not a very good game, this game on the shelf. But there being a group having a riotous time playing any game you don't think highly of, and you going, you guys are playing that, you're having fun with that, you must be lesser than I. It's that thing. It's not
Okay, but the Uber nerd is not just that. It's also what you said earlier, the guy who plays for people. and does things for you, the guy who tells you, or the person who likes only one game, and you're like, oh, hey, you're playing Magic the Gathering over there, but you're by yourself. Would you like to play that? No. And just that this person can ruin whole game stores sometimes with what they want to do. And they go around, they shout, they yell, they want to be the center of attention. The uber nerd is the #1 enemy of gaming.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, what do you got?
All right, my number 1. And I
See what you got here.
Is it you or me?
Huh?
Is it you or me?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's find out. Who are you talking about?
no, I ain't talking about nobody. I am not talking about anybody in particular. But I wrestled with putting this as my number 1. I was gonna actually possibly make it my number 10 because I wanted to be it easy. No, listen. I wanted to ease it in. But my number 1, and I really do believe that this is important because it can go either way actually. And my number 1 enemy of gaming is gamers. And the reason I say that is because
this is so like.
The reason I say
man, it's my mind is blown.
The reason I say that is because you can either be a positive force in getting somebody else into the game, or you can be the negative force that keeps somebody from never looking at gaming ever.
So you're saying the same thing that Tom just said.
Okay.
Well, possibly.
But in a more abstract way. I do want to point out on your list, we've had time, space, gamers. I mean, it's like, your list is like, it's the kind of thing I normally do where it's like so abstract, it's almost like, so what he's saying, you know?
Yeah, no, I got you. But no, seriously, I really think that, and it's not just the alpha gamers, it's not just the people that bully during games, it's not just people that smell weird, or it's not.
You're saying sometimes we are our own worst enemy.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because we have this air about us sometimes that we don't even realize we have it.
Right.
No, not that. Jeez. A-I-R-E.
You already got to do yours, dude.
I couldn't help it.
You guys know what I'm talking about. We can either help the hobby along, or we can tear it apart at its foundation.
Whereabout?
So I think we definitely need to own up to the fact that we are responsible for how we act while we play games. And it's not saying you can't have fun, but you got to understand that your actions can actually keep people away from having a very good time with a very cool hobby.
Right.
And that's what I mean by gamers. How you act means something.
Though ultimately, I have to say, and this is a small counter argument, I agree with you, but at some point, anybody who knows enough about anything will, by their very nature that they know so much about whatever the topic might be, keep people out of it because they're unable to, for lack of a better term here, dumb it down enough in their own knowledge to be as inclusive as they should be. Like if I talk to a rocket scientist, that's the thing, right? And I just want to know about rocket propulsion. They're going to start throwing terms out at me without meaning to, that I'm going to find off-putting, and I'm going to be like, "Well, this guy clearly doesn't want me to know about rockets." They might not mean to do that, and this happens to us all the time, where we'll start saying terms that are so second nature that we don't catch it.
Which is why I think it needs to be a conscious effort.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to.
So Sam is saying the worst enemy is me. I am the worst.
This is like the end of the Twilight episode. What's going on?
I am the worst enemy. Okay, but yes. All right. What do you guys think is the worst enemies of gaming? Tell us in the comments below. Are we right? Are we wrong? Well, you're going to tell us we're wrong. Could you not watch a 50-minute video again? You'll tell us that in the comments too. Those people didn't make it this far. But anyhow, hey guys, we really appreciate you watching.
Yes, we do.
We will see some of you next week at Origins, and the rest of you will see on video all the time. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia. Thank you, guys.
And I'm Sam Healey. See you on the flip side.